This conference will now be recorded.
Okay, so before starting the session, I just want to ask you a few questions related to whatever the commands that we have seen earlier. So, why do we use git clone? Yes, Akila, you are answering something. Why do we use git clone? Akila, your voice is not audible clearly. Okay, and why do we use pull? What is the use of git pull? To get the latest changes from repo to your local system. Okay, I don't want to pull the changes. I just want to see the changes. How many, like when compared with my local changes to the remote changes, I just want to compare and see. I don't want to pull it. So, what was the command for it? You understood? Yeah. This command.
Git diff.
Git diff is like once you got the changes into your local system, if you want to compare the differences from one branch to another branch, you can do git diff. Like when compared with your local, I want to find the changes in the remote. So let's take a scenario. It's not git say status. Okay, let me tell you. During morning 9 a.m., I have cloned the repository. As of now, how many files are there in the repository in the remote? It is two files. So I cloned those two files. So now I have two files in my local. And during 9:10, somebody pushed some changes into the repository. So they changed two files. So how many files are there in the repository? Four files now. And how many files are there in your repository now in the local? It is two files. If I do the git pull, directly it will pull the new changes. But I don't want to pull the changes. I just want to see the number of files that got changed. So if you remember, I have asked this question earlier. So the command to see it was git fetch. See, git fetch is the command to find out the number of files that got changed in the remote when compared with your local system. And if you see, they are trying to give you the difference between these two. The pull is directly going to pull all the changes, while the fetch is going to find out the number of files that got changed in the remote. Yes, is someone are trying to answer something? Saurabh, you are trying to say something? Saurabh, I'm just keeping you in mute, but if you want to speak something, you can speak right now, or else unmute yourself and then you can speak. Okay, I just kept you in mute, Saurabh. Okay, so this is the one that in interviews they are going to ask you. What is the main differences between git pull and git fetch? Git pull is directly going to get all the changes from the remote to the local, while git fetch is going to just show you the number of files that got changed when compared with your local to the remote. So it is going to show you the number of files that got changed, like when compared with your local. Okay. So we have, I think we have covered most of the Git commands. Like, why do we use branches? Why do we use branches? If there is any new requirement, directly we will not be able to directly make the changes into the main branch. Why we are not changing anything in the main branch? Because that is where the location we will have the original code. So we don't want to disturb the original code. So that's why what we do is, if there is any new requirement, we used to take the copy of the main branch and we create a new branch. Okay, now if you want to make any changes, you used to make the changes in the new branch, that is called as future branch. Once you make the changes in the future branch, what is the next step that you need to do? You need to create a PR. PR stands for pull request. Why do we use pull request? To merge the changes from one branch to the another branch. Okay, let me show you the commands here. So just take 5 to 10 minutes to explain about the commands that we have seen earlier. And we have already seen git clone. And why do we use git add? If I want anything to add to the git, first I need to add them. So once I added those files to the git, then git is going to track it. So to add it, we need to use git add followed by the dot or the file name. Once it is added, what is the next step? Committing. Why do we use commit? So it's called as a checkpoint. So to save anything, or if git is trying to track anything, at some point of time, if you want to go back to the earlier changes, we can go back with the help of commit IDs. So each and every time you commit, you are going to get a commit ID. And why do we use git reset? Once the files are added to the git, if you want to get them back as an untracked file, then we can make git reset command. Git status. Why do we use git status? Once I added the files to the git, I want to check whether the files are getting tracked by git or not. By using git status command, you can do that. And git RM stands for remove. If you want to remove any files related to that, you can do the git RM. Why do we use log? Anyone can answer. Why do we use git log?
To check how many commits were committed in the repository.
Yes. To check the latest commits and the commit IDs, we can make use of git log command. Once the repository is cloned, then you can make use of git log command to see the commit IDs and what was the commit message and who was committed. All those changes you are going to get. Okay. Now take this. Instead of git log, I want to check out. Why we use checkout? To change from one branch to the another branch, we used to use a command called git checkout to whatever the branch that you want to go. You can navigate from one branch to another branch by using checkout command. You know already merge. To merge the code changes from local to the repo, like one branch to another branch, we can make use of merge. Now what is remote? I think we have already discussed this also. You have a repository. In that repository, you want to push your code changes to future branch. In that case, what I'm going to do is, first I'm going to add the origin, and once the origin is set, then I'm going to push it to the future branch. How I am going to push? Git push origin followed by the branch name. So whatever the branch you mention, the changes are going to push it into that branch. And what is stash? Stash is called as a temporary storage. Once you have added the files to the Git and you don't want to commit them right now, you can store them in a temporary location. That temporary location is called stash. Okay. So these are the main Git commands that everybody in the real time is going to use. Each and every developer, or it might be related to the DevOps engineer, they might be using all these commands. Okay. Now what we want to do is, we will see. And if you see here, we have a command called git show. What is git show? Does anyone know what is git show? Okay. If not, I'll just show you. Go to git bash, and in which directory we have this. So let me go to cd. I want to navigate right now. I want to find my location, pwd. And if you see here, right now I'm in C users Lenovo. I want to change it to D drive. Like this, I can navigate into D drive, and there I can see the number of files and folders. So now I have a question. If you go to your repository here and I'm able to see inside Sanjay, I'm having two repositories. Those two are commit IDs and was the commit message and everything, right? Now I have a question. I'm going to clone this, copy the URL. Once you click on the code, then you need to take this copy and let's see whether we have Kia here. Not right. No, it's 1 second. It is getting it is getting recorded and yeah. Are you guys able to hear me?
No, voice is breaking.
How about now?
Better now. It's
Yeah,
better.
yeah. Thanks, Nikhil, and thanks, Akila, for confirming. Okay, so right now what we want to do is, so I have just taken a clone. I have just taken the repository and cloned into my local. Okay. Now, if you do the ls, I'm able to see the Kia repository here, right? Now I will navigate into the Kia. Let me clear the screen, and this is what the repository I'm inside right now. Now I have a question. When I cloned the repository, am I going to get only the files or the history also? Like whoever committed, what is the commit message, what is the commit ID? Am I going to get all the details or only the files? Understood the question, right? So I just cloned the complete repository into my local. So when I cloned it, am I going to get the commit IDs, commit messages, everything, or only the files? So someone saying that it is only the files. Okay. What do you think? What do you guys think? Am I going to get the complete messages, commit IDs, or only the files?
We will be getting all the commit IDs, messages, history, everything.
Yes, we are going to get the commit IDs, commit history, what was the commit message, everything we are going to get. So if you have a question related to this, do the git log. See, I'm able to see all the commit IDs also, right? So once you clone the repository, it is not only going to get the files, it is going to get the complete history of the repository. Whoever has created the branches, who made the pull request, and what is the commit message, who was the other. We are able to get all the information. So like this, we are able to get the information. And right now, what I'm going to do is, so now here, if you see here, I have a commit ID. I want to know who made what changes in this commit ID. I just want to know who made what changes in this commit ID. So copy the commit ID. By using a command called git show followed by the commit ID, you will be able to see number of changes that they have made. And if you see here, you won't be able to understand anything if you see now. Now what I will do is I'll just create two files. So right now I'm in this main branch, and how many files do I have? I have all these files. So let me take a file called ABC. In that, do we have any lines? No. I'm going to edit some information into this. So this is to show git show command. Okay. I just written some information into the ABC file and I am going to commit the changes. Once I commit the changes, so where I have made the changes, I have directly made my changes in the repository and I'm able to see that one commit ID is generated. If I want to get all these changes into my local, first I need to do the pull. I did the pull. So I can see that somebody has modified ABC and they made some insertion into it. Okay. Now I want to see the commit ID of that latest one. By using git log command, you can find the commit IDs. And if you see here, the author is Sanjay and he just updated this ABC file. I want to take this commit ID. I want to know what has changed in this commit ID. Like what changes are there in this commit ID. By using a command called git show followed by the commit ID, you will be able to see. See, somebody has recently added this one. And you can clearly see that plus symbol. So that means they have added it. Okay, if you still have a doubt, so what we will do is let's change something in the remote repository also itself. And I'm just going to remove this information. I'm just going to hit welcome world and just commit the changes. As of now, I'm making all the changes in the remote only, right? So I want to pull the changes into my local first. So use git pull. So I bought the changes. I can clearly see that some deletion happened in the file called ABC and one new insertion has been happened. Okay. So it generated a commit ID, right? So use git log and I can see recently somebody has updated at 10:51. Now I want to see what has changed in this commit ID. So copy this. So git show followed by the commit ID. See, they removed this, and you can see clearly here it is in red color, and you can see the minus symbol. So they removed it and they added this one. Like this, what happened on a particular commit ID also you can find it out with the help of a command called git show. With the help of a command called git show, you will be able to see what has changed in that particular commit ID. Okay. Till this point, it is fine. I'm just clearing everything. And if you do cat space ABC, this is the information that I have. So let's keep this aside. Okay. Now, what I want to do is now welcome world is there. Welcome world is there. And right now the application is working fine. With this code, the application is working fine. Now what I want to do is somebody randomly came into this ABC file and they changed the file and they tried to change the file. They removed this code and they kept something like this and they saved it. Mistakenly, they saved their changes here. So, because of this code change, immediately my application stopped working. So, what was the first step that you are going to do? So, earlier there was welcome world. So, whenever that welcome world code was there, my application is working fine. And somebody randomly came into the ABC file and they just written something and they saved it. So my welcome world is gone. Now what was the first step that you need to do? So you will remove this and keep the existing one, right? So welcome world you are going to keep. If you saved that somewhere else, you will be able to do that. But that is an old process. Now what I want to do is first I want to find out who has changed this file. So what I will do is I will go to history. See, one committed just in 1 minute ago. Somebody has committed. So what they have committed, I'll show you. So if you click this, okay. First I'll show you in different way. So somebody has made some changes into the ABC file, and I am able to see that it was just changed 1 minute ago. So because of this change, my application stopped working. So what I want to do is I want to revert back to the earlier changes. So before this commit, whatever is there, I just want that. Before this commit, whatever the code that we have in the ABC file, that is what I want. So in that case, what you need to do. So that means we call it as a revert. So revert back to the existing changes. So how can you revert back? That I will show you now. So if you go somewhere here, so this is the file, right? This is the commit ID. So go to history. This is the commit ID, and click on this commit ID, this update ABC, and you will be able to see an option called revert. See, I'm able to see here, right? Earlier it was welcome world, and they just added all the information here. Now I want to revert back this. If it is a single line, I can just copy and paste it and edit it. But if it is 1,000 lines or 10,000 lines, how can you do it? So it's not possible, right? So I want this to revert back. So click on here. So where is this? One second. Go to the commit IDs. Let me just refresh. For me, the screen is getting stuck, so that's why I'm just refreshing it. Okay, now it is fine. So this is the latest commit ID. This is the commit ID that I don't want. So somebody has committed this latest and I don't want this commit ID. So that is what we are saying, that we need to revert the changes. So when you want to revert the changes, how can you do the reverting? This is what the first point. Okay. I will show you this revert in my local first and then I'll come to this user interface. So first I want to get all the changes into my local. So that's why I'm going to use git pull. Okay. One file changed and four new lines are added. That's why four new insertions and one deleted line. Okay, clear this. I want to know the commit ID, right? First, how can I get the commit ID? By using git log, I am able to get the commit ID. So copy this commit ID. This is the latest one. Because of that, my application stopped working. So that's why what I will do is I want to revert it back. So to revert it back, the command that I am going to use is git revert. Which commit ID you want to revert? This commit ID. I want to revert this commit ID. Do this and see. Revert updated ABC. And if you want to write any custom message, you can write it. I'm not writing any information, so just do WQ. Okay. So it says that the reverting is done. Okay. Now verify it. So with the help of a command called cat, I'm going to look into the file called ABC. See, again I got the original code, right? So this is what we call it as reverting. So whatever the latest commit is there, if you want to revert back to the earlier one, take that latest commit ID and revert it back. So you will be able to go back to the earlier changes. So this is how you can do the reverting. Understood it, or you want me to explain another time? So let me explain another time. So vi space abc is a file. So here we have welcome world, right? So I'm just going to write some data into it. So I just removed the original code and randomly I was trying to write some code. So I have written this and I saved it. Mistakenly I saved and I added it to the git and I committed it to the git. So changed original code. This is a commit message that I am going to give it. So I have got my commit ID. Okay, how can you find the commit ID? By using git log command. So I am able to see that this is the latest commit message that I have given and this is the latest commit ID. So just copy this. Once copied, I want to revert this commit ID. By using a command called git revert, you can revert back the changes. See, reverting the original changes. Do it, save it, and now do the cat space abc. See, again I got the original code, right? So whatever the commit that I have done, I just reverted it back. So once if you do the reverting, then you will be able to see your original code changes. So like this, we will be able to do the reverting. As of now, we are just discussing with the sample text files and simple understandable, what do you call, understandable language keywords. But in real time, it will be hundreds and hundreds of lines of code. There you won't be able to understand what got changed and what changed. So at that time, what you are going to do is you are just going to take the latest commit ID and revert it back. So that's what we need to do in the real time. So like this, we can do the reverting and we can make the code to be we can make the files to be available as it is in the earlier. So that is what we call it as revert. Okay. Now, so with the help of a git show command, I'm able to see what changes are there in the particular commit ID. And with the help of a git revert, we will be able to revert back to the original changes. And if you see here, we don't have a revert or what. So control F, revert. So I was just trying to search here. So revert. So this is a one more command, git command, that you need to practice a lot. So that in top 20 git commands, this command was not there, but in real time you should use this very efficiently. You are going to use this very efficiently. But still, if you don't understand this, no problem, because in Azure repos it will be very easy to understand what is revert. Okay. Now I want you guys to find out how can we do that revert here. I have just showed you through the command line. Take the commit ID, latest commit ID, and do the reverting by using a command called git revert. I want you guys to find out how can you do the revert in the GitHub itself. If you are facing any issue in that, that's not a problem. I will explain you this later. But I want you to see the information about it. I'm trying to speak. Okay, I'm just keeping in mute. Pawan, can you please keep yourself in mute? Yeah. Okay. So I want you guys to find out how we can revert by using GitHub. So please try to spend some time on it. You will be able to get that. So you are able to see all the commit IDs and everything, right? So I want you guys to search for it. So if even if you don't get it, that's not a problem. I will show you how you need to do that. Okay. So till now we have seen all this. Okay. Now I want to ask you a question. So each and every time when you are trying to push the code changes, it is asking you what is the username and password. So for that purpose, what I have done was, so if I just remove the user ID and password, it will ask me to connect to which GitHub account I want to connect. So there I have entered my username and password, right? So there is an another way to do that. So what is the another way? I'm going to show that to you right now, but let me just show you the option. So if you go to the user, under user you have settings. Go to settings. If you go down, there we have developer settings. So just go to developer setting, and here you have personal access token. As of now, we do not have any tokens. I want to create a token. I will show you why. So it's a Sanjay, right? So let me search for the word. I think it's not in this file. If not in this, and it's in this. Do we have Sanjay in the class right now? I am not sure like what was the password that I kept for him. So that's why. So where is it? Vasu, and I think we don't have Sanjay here. Okay. Anyhow, that's fine. But what I want to show you is we have like whenever you try to do the git push, okay. I think we have received the password. HYD at version 123. So let me just take this and use the password. So where is it? So this is my GitHub. This is where I need to enter the password, and let's see. It shows that it is incorrect. Capital HYD at version, capital HYD at version 123. So your password is correct. Let me just paste the password. should I do capital H? So this is the password for that person. And once I went into the personal access token, as of now, I do not have any token. I want to create a new token. So what is the name? So I want to give it some name called token one. And this token should expire for the next 30 days. And what kind of access that you want to give for this token? So just go with the defaults, and going forward, you will be able to understand why we are doing all the changes. As of now, just give full access to it. So on all these sections, I want to use this token to authenticate and push the changes. So as of now, I have just created a token, and this is the token ID. So copy this token. You need to copy and store this token, because once if you go back and come again, you won't be able to see this token. Once if you go back and come again, you won't be able to see this token. Okay, I'll show you. Go to personal access token, and again, if you want to see this, see, you won't be able to see the token ID. See, you won't be able to see the token. It will simply show update token. So when you are creating a token, you just need to store the token. And then also, if you have forgotten, like even then also you have not saved the token, then what is the next step? Go to token again. If you want to update the token with a new key, do it, or else generate a new token and copy the new token. So this is how you can do. You can create n number of tokens and you can save them. Okay, this is fine. So as of now, why we are discussing about personal access token and why we need it. So when you are trying to do the git push, what happens was, each and every time when you are trying to do, it is going to ask you the username and password. Username and password, I don't want to give it each and every time. At that time, what I can do is, I can create a token. That token is called a pat token. By using that pat token, I can authenticate to my GitHub account. So how I'm going to authenticate, I'll show you. So first I need to delete the credentials of the Sanjay user, and let me just also save the user ID for it. So this is also required. Sanjay 22513. Copy this and paste it here. So this is the user ID. Okay. Now what I want to do is, I will go to my credential manager. I'll go to Windows credentials, and if you see here, Sanjay account was stored here. So I'm just going to remove this account. So next time when I try to push, it is going to ask me user ID and password. So let's see, do that. So first I am going to get all the changes into my local. So once I get all the changes into my local, I'm going to make some change. So I'm going to create one file called file1, add it and commit it. Random message. And then now if you try to do the git push, see what happens. It is going to ask me the user ID and password. And see here. Earlier, if you remember, you have signed in with your browser. If you sign in with your browser, what happens is, whatever the username and password that is signed in with your signed in this browser, it is going to take that and authenticate. But right now, I don't want to use this mechanism. I want to use the another one. See here, personal access token, that is called as PAT token. So if you want to authenticate yourself from your Git bash to the GitHub account, there are two ways. One is providing username and password. The second one is using token based. So first we need to have a token, right? So that's why I went into my GitHub account, and then I went into the settings. In the settings, if you go to the developer setting, there I'm able to generate one PAT token. So this token I have generated, and I saved that in my local system. So this is the key, or this is the PAT token. So just copy this and let's try whether we are able to push our code changes to the repository or not. So paste the code here and just sign in and see whether it is able to push it or not. See, it has pushed to main branch, right? And says that it is done. So let's go and verify whether file one is available in that or not. So go to your Control Shift T. If you have closed any tab and you want to go back to the tab again, Control Shift T is the command for it. Like it's a shortcut. Control Shift T. Go to this here, and then you will be able to see file one here, which was just published 2 minutes ago. Okay, fine. So this is how you are going to make use of PAT token to authenticate to the GitHub. Okay. So now I am able to see that with the help of a PAT token, I am able to connect to the GitHub and then push my code changes here. So in interviews, they are going to ask you a question like how many ways we can get authenticated to GitHub. There are two ways. One is by providing user ID and password. Second one is through PAT token. So with the help of these two, you can get authenticated to your Azure, Azure, like what do you call it, GitHub, and then you can make the code changes to be pushed. Okay. So till this point, PAT token is fine. Now, whatever we have seen here, the same things is going to be applicable in Azure DevOps also. So here what we have created here, we have created pull request and merge the code changes into here, one branch to another branch. And also I'm able to revert the code changes by taking the commit ID, and then I need to push it. I am able to do it all these things. Then the next point is till this point GitHub is fine, and the next thing is we are going to Azure DevOps part. So whatever we have practiced here, the same things we are going to practice in Azure DevOps also. So in Azure DevOps, where we need to practice and how we in which what is the commands that I need to use. That is what we are going to see in the next few minutes. Till this point, GitHub is fine. Now let's go back to the Azure repos. So why we used GitHub? GitHub is used for storing the code. And what is the version control system? Git is the version control system that we have used. What does Git do? It is going to track the all code changes. Okay, fine. Now we want to use Azure DevOps. So during the demo classes, I have discussed that we are going to see two source code management tools. One is GitHub and second one is Azure Repos. These two are for storing the source code. As of now, we are able to push the changes, pull the changes, make some changes in the GitHub using Git Bash. Now, what we need to do is we need to create an Azure DevOps account. Why we are creating Azure DevOps account? So this is the Azure DevOps. Why we are using it? Within a single Azure DevOps service where you can store the code under repos. So let's take this. I'm just going to show this to you. So this is the Azure DevOps. And in this, if you want to store any code, you can make use of repos. If you want to run the pipelines, you can make use of pipelines. If you want to have test plans included, then you can make use of test plans. Artifact to store the artifacts. Boards to track the work items. All these services we are having in a single Azure DevOps service. Okay. Now, how to sign up for this account, and is it free or is it going to be cost? I'll tell you. So if you want to sign up for Azure DevOps, first you need to have a Microsoft account. Even if you don't have a Microsoft account, that is fine. Even you can sign up with your GitHub user ID and password also. Now, how I need to do that, and let me show you the process. So first what I'll do is here in this, I'm just taking the new browser, and here in this I already have someone logged into this. So I'm just going to sign out this, and I'm going to show you the process how you need to sign up. So let me just take this because I just want to store the user ID and passwords. So this is the one. Okay, that's fine. I'm just going to sign this off. Okay. During your complete course, you are going to look about two URLs. Those two URLs are, one is dev.azure.com. This is the first one, and the second one is portal.azure.com. These are the two URLs that you are going to use very efficiently. These two URLs. Now, what is dev.azure.com and what is portal.azure.com? dev.azure.com is completely related to Azure DevOps part. And portal.azure.com is completely related to Azure administration, or we call it as Azure portal. So dev.azure.com is going to be completely related to Azure DevOps. Portal.azure.com is completely related to Azure administration or Azure portal. Okay. In that, first we are going to discuss about dev.azure.com. What do we have in the dev.azure.com? So if you see here, this is Azure DevOps, and we will be able to see all the services here, right? Now I'll just close this, and I want to sign up for a new Azure DevOps account. So first thing that you need to do is dev.azure.com. So once you click on dev.azure.com, so this is where you need to sign up. So start free with GitHub. If you already have a GitHub account, just sign up with your GitHub account. So it is going to ask me what is the user ID and email and everything. So there I need to provide it. See, it has directly logged me into this account. Why? Because cache memory. So I'm just going to do sign out dev.azure.com. Start free with GitHub. See, if it is still taking me to this account, what I will do is I'll go to credential manager and remove that. Windows credentials, and if you see here, I have two accounts that is login, and I just want to remove this person. So now it won't ask me, or it won't take me to this account. Sign out. For you guys, this won't be a problem because you are going to log in only with your name, right? So that is not going to be a problem. So dev.azure.com, start free with GitHub. Again, in that cases, what you need to do is you just need to clear the history. Clear the history. You need to do the clear history. So how I can do that clear history? Control H. Any browser, it is going to be Control H. Clear browsing data, and then you need to clear the browsing data for the last all time. So just make it all time. It is going to delete the cookies and caches. So once it is deleted, we will try that again. So even still it is there. I'm just removing that and Control H. Again, I just want to make sure that whether I deleted everything or not. So that's why I'm just clearing the browsing data again. I want to delete everything all time. Clear now. Okay, it is done. Now let's go back to dev.azure.com. Start free with GitHub. Yeah, now you are able to see that it is asking for sign in. See, signing into GitHub. Now it is asking me to which account do you want me to sign up. So I already have a username and password, right? So I'm just going to use those username and password. So I'm just going to create an account for Sanjay. So create it. So while coming for tomorrow's class, you need to do this. I'll tell you why we need to do that by tomorrow itself. And then password is this. Paste it. Just sign in. See, authorize Microsoft Corporation. Yes, I want to authorize. Okay. Just making sure the connectivity is good. And this is where in the browser. Just one more thing. To complete this sign up, you will need a Microsoft account as well. Yes. Go with the defaults. Just click on next and everything. See, it is asking for the username. So I'm just keeping the name whatever I want to. So if you want to keep your name, like you can keep whatever according to yours. And we will reach out to you at this is the email address. Fine. And where am I from? So if you want to create this from any location, you can create. As of now, I'm just keeping from India. So just click on continue. So I just signed up with I'm just signing to Azure DevOps with my GitHub, and just continue and see this. Name your Azure DevOps organization. So whatever it is there, I'm just going to take the default. If you want to make any change, you can change, but I'm just taking the default. And we will host your projects in which location? I'm just keeping South India. If you want to keep in Central US, anywhere you can keep it. And then you need to enter this captcha. This is where no, I want to take the new one. Okay, LKLQ3, small capital Q. So it is going to sign up an account for you in Azure DevOps. Okay. So with the help of a GitHub, whatever the email that we have configured for GitHub, the same email that I am using for my Azure DevOps. And see, on the left side, you can see that this is your organization. And below that, you can also see you can create a new organization. But I'm just going with this account organization. And when I'm here, it is asking me for a project name. I'm just going to write it as Kia. Or else you can make something as this is the project name. Hyderabad is the project name. Or if you want to keep something else very user friendly, then you can keep IRCTC. This is my project name. And if you want to provide any description, you can provide. And next, what is the visibility of your project? You want to make it public or private? As of now, I want you guys to make it as a private. Since your this is your Azure DevOps account, keep every project in your private. I will tell you why we need to keep it as a private. So just go with the private and do not make any changes in this. I will tell you why. So just create this. So today I was just trying to show you the process of how you can make the setup of your Azure DevOps account. So I just created my Azure DevOps account, and in that, if you just click on this Azure DevOps logo, you will be going into the home page, and you can see this dev.azure.com/sanjay22153. If you see here, this is the organization, right? Yes. In this organization, how many projects you are having? One project. So let's take an example. HCL is an organization. Inside HCL, we will be having multiple projects, like the same way. This is an organization. Inside that, we will be having multiple projects. So as of now, I'm having only one project. Okay. Now, I want to practice Git commands. How I can practice Git in this? Okay, let's take this. Here is where we have repo. So just click on the repo. See, IRCTC is empty. Do you want to add some code? Yes, I want to add some code. Is it going to be a new repository, or you want to bring the code from your GitHub to here? See, if you want to bring the code from the GitHub to here, so just click on import. What is the repository type? It's a Git repository. And what is the URL? Go to your GitHub account and copy this cloning URL. Like this is where you need to copy, right, if you want to clone. So take that URL and go back to your Azure DevOps and paste it here. And it is going to get all the code from your GitHub to your repository in Azure DevOps. So this is the one way that we will be able to get all the code from the GitHub to your Azure repos. Azure repos is mainly for storing the code, and to like whatever the things that we have done using the GitHub, the same things we can do with Azure repos. See, I'm able to see all the files. Also, I'm able to get all the history. Also, I'm able to get see the history. Also, I was able to see who made the changes and everything. Right. So this is how I can bring a code from the GitHub to my Azure repos. This is fine. So whatever you have practiced in the GitHub, bring all the code into the Azure repos. And the next thing that I want you guys to look is go to pipelines. Once the repos you cloned it, just by heart this step, because what Azure DevOps has done was there are n number of requests or n number of people who are trying to use Azure DevOps. So earlier they are giving free access, but right now what they have done was they blocked the free access. Now, if you want to use pipelines, like within Azure DevOps, if you want to use pipelines, you need to send a mail to the Microsoft saying that I need access for this. Then only they are going to approve. After that, you might be able to use pipelines. Usually, this request will take 2 to 4 days or even 10 days. So, before going to practice pipeline itself, first itself we are going to request for the access. So this might take 3 to 10 days also. So it completely depends upon the Microsoft. So before itself, I just want you to get the access for this. So how you are going to get the access? So once you got the code from GitHub to the repository, the next thing that you need to do is go to pipelines, create a pipeline. So by heart this process, after some time you will be able to understand this. And once you see this page, use the classic editor. Where is your code? My code is at Azure Repos. And which project? IRCTC. Which repository? IRCTC repository. Which branch you want me to take? Take the main branch and continue. Click on continue and select a template. Out of these things, which one you want me to take? Take the empty job. And once here, click on this plus button and add some task. Add some task like do this. Oh, okay. You will be able to understand this one, right? That is copy. In the copy file task, take this copy files. Copy files from a source folder to the target folder. Yes, add this. And click on this step. Once you click on this step, you will be able to see the source folder and the target folder. This is where you need to write something. So click on this I button and you can see the example, right? Starting from the dollar, copy this and paste it. Paste the same thing in the target also. And once you pasted all this information, then you just need to save this and queue. Save this and queue. Do not change anything. Just run this. I just want to show you one error. Why we are getting that error, I will show you. So click on this and see this error. No hosted parallelism has been purchased or granted. That means parallelism has not been purchased or granted. So to request for a free parallelism, you need to fill the form. See this. HTTPS something is there, right? Copy it from the HTTPS to till the last point. Copy this and open it in the browser. So this is some simple Microsoft form that you need to fill. So once I pasted that URL, it is going to give me the form. Yeah, Azure DevOps parallelism request, and it will take 2 to 3 business days to proceed the request. So before practicing the pipeline itself, first what we are doing is we are requesting for the access. So what is your name? So where you can get the information. So if you click on this user, this is my username. And what is your email address? Here itself I can get the email address, right? This is the email address. What is the name of your Azure DevOps organization? So what I will do is, so just click on the Azure DevOps and copy the URL and paste it here. Are you requesting a parallelism increase for your public project or private project? What kind of project is yours? Mine is private. So just accept this and submit. That's it. So once you send the request, it is going to take 2 to 3 days to give you the parallelism request access. So it is approved, then you will be able to run the pipelines. So if you go to pipelines, see whatever I run, I am going to get the same kind of error. Even if you try to run it for the second time, you will get the same error because some access was not provided for you. If you go here, see, no hosted and parallelism has been purchased or granted. So right to run these pipelines, we are requesting for a parallelism to the Microsoft. So Microsoft is going to respond to you. So once it responds, then you will be able to run the pipelines. Okay, till this point, any doubts, guys? Because from tomorrow onwards, we are going to see Azure repos. Till this point, any doubts? Okay.